are powerful. Words can set fires in the minds of men. Words can wring tears from the hardest hearts. A quote by Patrick Rothfuss. My guest today shares how words can bring life to our stories through descriptive words, nature, and our senses. And it is my privilege and honor to welcome author Doris Vilk. Welcome to the show. I am so excited that you're here today.
Hi, everyone. It's very nice to be here with you, Carrol.
You are a retired dentist, and your name is Dora Vilk Shapiro. But you went on to writing steamy romance novels.
I did.
The trilogy series, the Chatham. How do I say it?
Chatham.
Chatham.
Like Chatham, Massachusetts.
And the titles are Love Arrested, Love
and Love Attempted, and Love Avenged.
How did you go from a dentist to writing steamy romance novels?
Okay, well, the story of the romance, the original romance, was in my head since like college days. I was a real science geek, because I wanted to be a dentist. And I used to daydream about this actress and her lover, and she was everything I wasn't. She was tall, I'm short, she had blue eyes, I have hazel eyes. I wanted this loving man presence in my life, but I was this geeky science nerd, speech communications major. Anyways, I went on to become a dentist, and I did used to write. I always loved to write. But I would write dental things. I would write columns in the local newspaper, or my office had a newsletter. So it was always very professional dental writing. Well,
let me just interrupt you here just really quick. But then you went on to making your fantasies come to reality in your books.
Yes. So what happened was around 2014, I realized even before that I had a lot of health issues that were starting. But in 2014, it was like the perfect storm. I had cancer. I had some thyroid issues. I was having trouble with my hand where my fingers would cramp. And that led to a terrible anxiety and depression.
Yes.
And I had all this time on my hands, yet I was kind of used to writing. I was working part-time at that time because I was trying to rest. I kept thinking it was a physical thing when I realized after I got help that a lot of it was mental and not as much physical as I thought. And I told my hygienist it was when 50 Shades of Grey and some of these steamy books like Sylvia Day and the Crossfire series, and all these books were very popular. My hygienist and I used to hang out together.
Yes, let me interrupt you here right now because we have just a little time, and I want to get onto how how you used words to come to life in your stories, and then help us do the same.
Okay. So I saw the book, the story, as scenes in my head, and words were a way to describe what I was seeing and what I was doing, what the characters were doing and what they were feeling, all by using words.
And so how do we use descriptive words into our stories? What are descriptive words and how do we use them to make our stories come to life?
Descriptive words are really words that if you picture an image, that you're going to use words to be able to have the person you're sharing your language with see that image the same as you are. And so it's not only adjectives, but it's also a lot of emotional and feeling words. So for someone like myself with anxiety and depression, and my heroine that has challenges, it's a way to get those feelings out. And one of the best ways to learn how to become a descriptive writer or a better communicator is to go out in nature.
Oh, yes.
Because you can turn to nature. Let's say you're at the beach. Use all your senses. What are you seeing? I'm seeing the waves, and I'm seeing the blue skies and the clouds and the sun. What are you feeling? You might feel the breeze on your face, or the sand warm and gritty under your skin. What are you tasting? You might be tasting the salt of the ocean spray. What are you hearing? You're hearing the surf and the birds, and maybe some children laughing in the background. Okay, so let's see, we did sight, smelling, taste, hearing, touch. So really those are our 5 senses. So now if you think, did you just picture that beach scene that I told you about? And so you can do that same thing, whether you're writing nonfiction or fiction like I do, to describe the characters, what their emotions are, what are they tasting, what are they feeling, what are they doing, what do they look like? And you can create pleasures for yourself and others, healing for yourself and others, because like in my book, the heroine goes through all these challenges. And so you're also not only seeing the story in obviously the words that tell you the story, but the description and the emotions are putting you in that same place. And you may not be this model and actress that goes to prison for a crime she didn't commit, but you may have suffered traumas or things where you need healing, and you can see how a character goes through that process and what she's choosing to do, and you can maybe learn from that yourself.
Yes, I did that exact thing. I took pen and paper, and I went and sat in front of my pond, and I wrote down everything that I saw, everything that was around me. And what happened is that I sat there until it was embedded in my mind. And one day I was on stage and I was telling this story, and I could picture everything that I was feeling that day. And I was able to give it to the audience. And that was a remarkable time. Yes. So you can write it down.
It's so awesome when somebody will read your work, or in your case, listen to your story and feel those same things. And as a writer or creator, you're accomplishing your mission by, if you're reading your own work or thinking of your own words that you're telling yourself, and you're feeling those same emotions. You're wanting to cry in a scene that's real sad, or you're feeling the joy, or you're feeling, I always like to keep the talks very PG rated, but it is a steamy novel. So you're feeling those heated moments. It's all creates an escape and pleasures, and a way to improve our communications, both for pleasure and just with others when we're talking about our businesses or anything we're trying to say.
Exactly. And when we're trying to tell our story, there's a difference between telling something and showing, and we show it through these descriptive words, like I'm going to the store, but you can also put in all those adjectives. Even nouns and verbs can be action or creative words to make your story come to life, correct?
Exactly. You could say, I went in the store and I could smell the freshly baked bread, and I struggled as the wheels in my cart were sticking and didn't want to go. And I could feel the coolness of the handle, and knew we were in COVID because I could still feel the moisture of the sanitizing spray. I mean, you can create a whole experience over a trip to the grocery store.
Yes. So we talked about going into nature and using our senses. Now, that in itself is that if you picture seeing the blue sky, or being descriptive, the colors also brings into factor of doing your stories.
Yes, every all the senses. You could do it as an exercise, and when I do it, I literally look at my head and go, okay, eyes, nose, ears, mouth, what am I feeling? And just use descriptive words, and don't be afraid to use I can never say the word, even though I'm an author, thesaurus. I use that like crazy all the time, because you don't want to keep in your writing and in your description, keep using the same words. Like, how many times, if he's a good looking guy and I'm writing a romance novel, how many times can I say he was handsome or he was hot? So I need to say his muscles glistened in the sun. His hair was so soft to her touch, or his lips commanded her. You just have to, and you'll get better at it. You'll notice your vocabulary will improve. Like, English was not even my first language. I came from Cuba. So every so often I mess up, which is, thank goodness for editors and the people that format the book and do all that stuff for me. But, learning to describe things, whether you're writing a novel like I did or in your business, it's so important.
Yes, tell us how.
Okay, so for example, as a dentist, all the patients wanted to use a hard toothbrush, and I'm trying to teach them, no, you need a soft toothbrush that actually cleans better. So how I would describe it is, you wouldn't take fine china and use a Brillo pad on it, and then they got it. Or I was trying to explain why we need to change the bite on both sides. And they're like, oh, but I just want to do this. I go, okay, so you have a car and you had 20-inch tires and now you want 22-inch tires. Are you going to buy one 22-inch tire and the other one's at 20s? How's your car going to ride? You need to replace all your tires the same size. And then they got it, like, oh yeah, if one tooth is here and the other one's here, I'm not going to be able to choose. So I realized that even though I think I just became a writer of more recent times, that I was always writing. I was always describing, because to have a good bedside manner as a dentist, it wasn't enough to have my hands that could drill well. A lot of it was my mind and how I could communicate to my patients.
Yes, so yes. And it's really great how you described everything, how we can do it. In other words, we can use our senses, we can use nature, we can use all these, what's the other
colors, like we said, it doesn't necessarily be adjectives. It could be nouns. It could be verbs.
Yes, action
like when we said the cart was sticking, the wheels were sticking, the cart wouldn't go. Like, that's a whole image, and that's not really an adjective, it's a verb. So
yeah. And we can actually picture the cart being stuck, because how many times
we can almost feel it, right? We almost feel ourselves struggling,
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much. This was really great. I mean, I loved all the different ways that you described how we can use words. How can we get your books? How can we connect?
So the easiest way to connect with me would probably be my website, because that has links to my Facebook group, Instagram, Twitter, everything. I have articles. So my website is www.dorisvilk. So this is how you spell it. It's like Doris Day, and Vilk is like milk with a V.com. And that has links to everything. And I have a group. So people read the books. They want to talk about the books, or I post a lot of things about relationships because I'm big on that. And they can connect to all the social media things and send me a message. And sometimes I have contests to give away books. So it's Valentine's Day is coming, and it's a good gift for somebody in your life or yourself. And check me out.
Okay, thank you. And I am Carrol T. Wilkinson, and go to my website, mirroryourmagnificence.com, and you'll receive 7 ways to magnify your magnificence. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday at 11 o'clock, and have a magnificence day.
Bye, everyone.